help me. Canada dilution, thank you. So what is the counter argument, or what you have in mind in regards to that point of view?
Okay, that particular organization, they claim that the Statute of Westminster has made Alberta independent. This is the Statute of Westminster. I encourage everyone to read it. Like, this is a real document from the British Parliament that they passed. This is a real document, and it's really in effect. But it does not say what those guys say it says. This is the key thing. Let me just read to you. Okay, there's a number of different sections in here. The first 6 sections, like, this is what happened with the Statute of Westminster. Up until 1931, all the British dominions, like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and so on, even though we were independent countries essentially, the Parliament of Britain could still pass laws technically that would impinge on us. And in 1931, well, it says like here, during the 1920s, the British dominions objected to that. They didn't want to be under that control anymore, and so the British government agreed to withdraw their authority to make laws for Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. So this is a document that does that. The first 6 or so sections talked about all the different dominions together as a group, and then it breaks down into separate sections for the different countries. So the section that deals with Canada is Section 7. Okay, you can read this for yourself online. I'm just going to read you some sections here so you can see what it says. Now, the myth of Canada people say this document abolished Canada as a country and abolished our Constitution, the British North America Act. Okay, this is what it actually says. I'm going to read you Section 7.1. Nothing in this act shall be deemed to apply to the repeal, amendment, or alteration of the British North America Acts 1867 to 1930, or any order, rule, or regulation made thereof. So they said explicitly, this does not repeal the British North America Act. That's what it actually says. So when someone tells you that it does something different, just read it for yourself. And also, it mentions how, that there's no more government of Canada after this. If you read Section 3 here, it says, the powers conferred by this act upon the Parliament of Canada or upon the legislatures of the provinces shall be restricted to the enactment of laws in relation to matters within the competence of the Parliament of Canada or any of the legislatures of the provinces respectively. So what it's saying is this leaves intact the jurisdiction and powers of the Parliament of Canada and the jurisdiction and the powers of the legislatures of the provinces. So that's actually what this document says. Now, I've told people, just read it for yourself, and I've had people say, well, it's hard to read. It's kind of, this is written by British lawyers in the 1930s, like almost 100 years ago, and so it's not the easiest thing to read, but if you read it carefully, you can see. But I found a shortcut to find out what to do about this kind of situation. This is a court decision from the Supreme Court of British Columbia from 2007, called the Butterfield versus LeBlanc et al. So in this particular court decision, there was a fellow who argued at the Supreme Court of British Columbia that Canada was abolished by the Statute of Westminster in 1931. That was one of his arguments. Like he's got a few arguments in here, and of course the court deals with all of the arguments. But one of the arguments is that Canada was abolished by the Statute of Westminster in 1931. Let me just read you. This is much easier to understand than reading the statute itself. So here on page 3. Okay, it says, Butterfield claims that Canada does not exist as a federal nation and the provinces are independent nations. It goes on to quote him as saying, Butterfield says, the real provinces are not a part of Canada and are independent nations as established by the Statute of Westminster. So he's making this argument the Statute of Westminster made the provinces independent because there's no other Canada. So you can read their analysis here. It's about 2 or 3 pages of analysis. It was just 2 pages of analysis. So here's the court's analysis. This is what they say about that argument about the Statute of Westminster. The parts of the pleadings which rely on these arguments have no substance. Have no substance. So this is an easier document to read if you want to get this Butterfield decision off the internet. The Supreme Court of British Columbia ruled that the argument that Canada was abolished by 1931 Statute of Westminster has no substance. So this is the easy way. This is a shortcut if you want to go through the other stuff. But the document itself does not say that the government of Canada was abolished, and the Supreme Court of British Columbia says the same thing. So that's the end of that as far as I'm concerned.